this is the part from the Oz principle that I want to focus on today, that I want to key in on. And that's this idea that's called the results pyramid. You could call it whatever you want, and I think it's very applicable to all parts of our lives. But the results pyramid is something I'm passionate about. And that is that in our lives, we all have experiences. We've had experiences since we were little kids. We have experiences throughout, whether that is the church you went to. Did you go to public or private school? What flavor ice cream did your parents like best as you were growing up, right? What professional sports team do you love? I grew up in a Chevy household. My son now likes Fords. It's really weird to me, right? I can't convince him otherwise. But all those experiences and all those experiences at work, they drive our beliefs. And I contend that you can't change someone's belief by just walking up to them, like my son, and saying, hey, you shouldn't like Ford, you should really like Chevys, right? I can't just make him change his beliefs. You have to provide people different experiences to change their beliefs. And if we want women to be an important part of this industry, we have to provide them the experience that will help them believe that they can be successful. And for the men in the room, you need to open your eyes and look and see those experiences and also believe that women can be successful, become gender blind like I'm fortunate to have happened, right? That story that I shared earlier, that experience that I had in this tiny town of Elizabeth, Colorado, and having 12 women out of 18, like thinking back, like it was crazy. It was crazy times. Can you imagine in 2000 taking a lumberyard, 5 acres of dirt, the only facility I've ever worked at in my life that had a dirt floor inside. It was tough. Bill's laughing. It was a tough facility, right, to function in. Right, we quadrupled the size at that time, right, and obviously the cost of wood was a whole lot less expensive. It was a lot of sticks, and it took every effort in the world. So what did I experience? The two best load builders I've ever had in my career were Sarah and Belinda, the two women that pulled loads for me out there. They were absolutely incredible. They never complained. They didn't care if it was snowing or raining outside. And you know what? And it was like this little competition between the two of them to see who could be better, faster, and all those things, right? And right, the other thing that happened in that environment is the whole entire staff began to have this experience that they believed anyone in the organization, anyone in that facility could help them out. Later down the road, we consolidated with the Castle Rock location, which is about 20 miles away, and it was the opposite. It was ran by a very old school lumber guy, and his staff reflected that. And it was this really challenging cultural time when I was like, well, what do you mean you don't have any women drivers and you don't have any women working in the yard? Like, why do they all only work behind the desk or in accounting? Like, that's not okay with me. So it's been interesting. But those beliefs that you and I have and your employees have lead to their actions. And those actions lead to results. Right? So what I ask my leaders to do as we go through this is if we're not getting the results that we want, if we're not getting the sales results, we're not getting the quantity of quotes, we're not getting the, we're not getting the audit performance, whatever that might be, I ask them to take a step back and look a little further backwards in that pyramid and figure out where things broke. Something broke somewhere along the way, right? If they don't believe that what you're asking them to do is correct, then we need to think about the experience we're providing them. If they're not taking the actions, right, are we being clear about what we want there? Are the beliefs accurate? And if we're not getting the results right, clearly we're probably not taking the correct actions. So I'll come back to this at the end, but experiences like the one I just shared drive to beliefs. Those beliefs have driven me in my career. Those beliefs, right, have led to what I believe is an unconscious bias that I don't really care who's sitting across the desk from me. I just want them to be able to do the job. I don't care if it's a man or a woman. I don't at all. Like, I don't think I've ever consciously thought about that until I prepped for this, but I do believe that that's the case. And the experience that my team, the team around me, has is along those same lines, right? So I've influenced them unintentionally. And I believe that the mix of employees that we have at Tao are a reflection of that we all believe that anyone in the organization can be successful. One of the things that we talk about in the training of the Oz principle at Tao is experience types. And so one of the things I like my leaders to think about is, what is the ideal outcome of the experience I'm about to provide? So before we even start to provide an experience, what are we about to provide? And we like to focus on a type 1 experience, which is an experience that leaves little doubt as to what the intent was behind it, right? There's plenty of definitions around that. There's 4 primary experience types in the normal, we do any research out there, but a type 1 experience. So, when I think about that, when I think about, this second bullet point of positioning women to have a voice, and I believe, Christy, you touched on that as well, and it's something that's that's important. I have 2 examples of that in my career recently. One is Erin Doring, who is my director of HR. When I started with Tao, and I had my first probably few months of meetings, I noticed that she was really quiet. There were 4 guys and 1 female in the room, and if she spoke, it was always last, and it was typically poorly timed. I think she was so intimidated by what was going on, and she's in her mid-30s, and there's a bunch of old pasty white guys, or what was it, whatever the heck it was said earlier. My team looked like that at the time. It is what it is. And so, Russ, is that what you said? Pale, stale, and yeah, all those things, right? There is a lot of truth to it. And so as we started doing one-on-ones, I figured out that really quickly that our one-on-one quickly became a mentorship more than it was a one-on-one, and we had some really hard conversation. And during that conversation, when I'm asking and prodding, why are you not providing? Why are you not, you're an executive, you need to be a part of the team. I start to realize that it wasn't her that wasn't trying to be a part of the team. It was these 4 type A personality men in the room were not allowing her the space to be a part of the team. So what I did to create a different experience for her, and I told her I was going to do this, is that when I would tee something up as a leader to talk about, I would intentionally ask for her opinion first. So I wouldn't let the rest of the team talk. I would say, hey, Erin, can you provide us some feedback on that topic? And I did that a few times, and it was awkward and a little bit uncomfortable, and the team could tell I was doing something different. But here we are a year later, and Erin is a completely different person. She speaks up at every one of our executive team. She's aggressive, in a good way when she needs to be aggressive, and is passionate, and will really defend her position if that's what she needs to do. She brings an awesome female perspective to some of the things that we need sometimes as guys. We're still male dominated from an executive team. So we sometimes get caught in this bubble. We have biases. And so she has done this. So it's a great success story of providing somebody the voice and the space, and be intent about it. Provide them an experience. And you know what? Today, she believes something totally different. When her and I spoke about this, we talked very much about that. We had she's a very stoic person. I mean, she had some very tearful conversations in my office, which is not who she is. And I made sure she was okay with me sharing that because, it changed. And you know what? It changed my team for the good. We are a better executive team because of the more powerful role that she plays, the more equitable role that she plays on my team. On that token, I thought it was interesting, and this came up just a minute ago, 6 of the 12 women that I spoke with told me that their biggest obstacle to success in this industry was another woman. And I did not expect to hear that. I was a bit blindsided. It was the second person I talked to, so I probably probed for it a little bit in the further conversations, but it came up over and over and over again. So the women in the room, think about the experience you're providing, right? Are you providing an experience that's going to help those other women around you believe? This whole idea of mentorship, right? Young women need both men and women mentors. I love being a mentor. I love having mentors. I have my share personally. I do have one lingering what I would call a little more formal mentorship that I'm doing right now. But I love the idea of informal because I think it's more productive personally. The really formal stuff I've done in my career, my belief would be it's not great because my experience hasn't been great. So I think you have to try too hard. But there's a lady named Erica who is the manager of the inventory replenishment team for Wilco Farm Stores, which is where I came from before I went to Tao. Wilco's a big company, $300+ million retail. She manages a team of 6 people, and they replenish for all of that business. It's all done centrally. It's a big job. It's a big responsibility. And when I was at Wilco, the months leading up to me leaving, there became an opportunity for her to be promoted. And of the executive team, I was the only one that believed that she should be promoted. Like, I truly believed in her. And it took a lot of convincing on my part to convince my executive team and to convince her that she would be successful in her role. And when I was talking with her, she told me the other day, that last line is from her, and that was that I believed in her more than she believed in herself. And sometimes that's what it takes. Right? And you think in that experience pyramid, or in the providing the right experience in that case was me believing in her. So my experiences with her led me to believe that she could be successful. She was a diamond in the rough. She had a lot of work to do. She didn't play well with other women. I had to deal with that. Right? She just didn't. It is what it is. You know what? She has no confidence at all. I had to deal with that. I worked on all those things, and I am so happy to say I still get to mentor her on a monthly basis, and she's very successful at Wilco. I've had 2 of the executive team, not provoked on my part, reach out to me and say, hey, you were right. She's awesome. She's a rock star. Thank you for promoting her before you left. And so that was one of the hardest conversations I've had. Hey, I just promoted you 30 days ago and now I'm leaving. And so it was, but I committed to sticking around with her, and I have. So, providing those experiences to help women believe is so important. So again, think about those experiences that you provide, whether it's formally at work, whether it's at an outside work event. I love that idea of having diverse outside of the office experiences where you're not creating something that can't include everyone in today's world. Right? It's very important. That will set up a world. If you want your organization to look more like our population, your organization needs to look like our population, right? We attract more women to Tao, I believe, particularly at our home office, because we look like the population. I didn't do the math on that. We probably have more women than men in our 40 or so people that work in the Tao office. But it's a comfortable space, right? And our locations are comfortable spaces. We want them to be. We want them to look like who we want to be long term. Because those experiences, those beliefs, those actions are going to drive you to the results, whether that is having a more balanced workforce or whether that's driving and growing sales, which is why we're all right here primarily, but through mentoring through that.